Greetings, and welcome to my Pokémon Conquest any percent speedrun video. As a brief introduction to those not familiar with the game, Pokémon Conquest is a turn-based tactics RPG released in 2012 for the Nintendo DS. It is based off of the Nobunaga's Ambition series, which boasts over 15 tactics RPG games. This game contains Pokémons of the 5th generation and below. It is the second spin-off of this generation, released 4 months after Poképark 2 and a year and a half after Pokémon Black and White. In this video, I aim to complete the main storyline of this game as fast as possible. You can notice that I use a program to time my playthrough. It is called LiveSplit and it allows me to divide the run into segments for better comparison to my previous and future runs. I organize the video, record and stream it through OBS Studio. Both of those programs are open source, and the links to download them are found in the description below. I am capturing the video of my Nintendo DS with a third-party capture card. The link to the main website of the provider is on the description too. The audio is captured through a male-to-male sound cable attached to a microphone jack. You can find the guide for the route used in this run in the description, including in it screenshots of the main positioning setups used. This run has a very good time. I did everything in the route that was proposed to do and then some more. With the exception of Spectra, Violight and Infinite Tower, which took an extra turn each compared to what the route intends, all the other castles were beaten in the intended amount of turns. Some were beaten in less turns, due to lucky critical hits and ranges. I am very satisfied with this run, as beating it without major route changes would require an even luckier run, critical hit wise. What you just saw was the tutorial of the game, a part which includes no interesting gameplay, only mashing. Right after the tutorial, faster animation and text options are selected on the menu. What follows are 2 fights inside the initial castle, Aurora, which are required to advance in the run. In this first fight, the aim is to kill both Pokémon with Eevee using its unique ability, Celebrate, which allows it to move again after knocking an enemy out. Enemies are preferably hit from behind, as hitting enemies from the side they are facing reduces the final damage. Less hitting enemies with Eevee and later on with Darumaka and Drillbur is important because it increases the EXP won in the battle. Reasoning for the need of more EXP on those is that Eevee, later Jolteon, is our main powerhouse, while the other 2 need EXP to evolve after the Yaksha fight in the run. Here you can see that Jigglypuff got flinched by Bidoof, which usually wastes a turn, since it needs to wear off Bidoof for Eevee to finish him off. Luckily, Eevee critted, so it saved about 20 seconds compared to wasting a turn. After the fight you can see me just text mashing, which is done in this game by pressing A, B and also tapping with the stylus on the screen. As you might have noticed, movement in this game is done mostly with the stylus, although sometimes I move with the directional pad when the stylus is imprecise for that particular cell. In the second fight, the initial arena, and not the one the game recommends, is chosen, since its layout makes it easier to kill the enemies in less turns. The logic is the same as the first fight. Celebrate with Eevee, try to finish in 2 or 3 turns. The enemy positioning in this fight is random, and the strategies are done mostly on the fly. After this fight, the first castle in the run is invaded, Ignis. Ignis introduces the lava terrain, in which only fire types can walk, and the random boulder system, in which boulders fall into random spots after some turns, damaging Pokémons. It also introduces the fountain system, which is not used in Run, in which a Pokémon can step into the water fountain and heal off HP and the burn status. In this fight, the strategy is to back off with Jigglypuff and wait 2 turns, since fighting the enemies in the middle of the lava arena would make reaching them sometimes not possible, extending the fight and potentially killing Eevee in the process. Unfortunately, Chimchar did an unlikely AI pattern and flinched Eevee, which potentially extended the fight by a turn. The bad RNG is compensated by the also unlikely boulder that hit Bidoof, saving an extra turn by instantly killing him. In this fight, the strategy is to celebrate from Chimchar to Tepig, then from Tepig to Bidoof. The aim is to never bring Chimchar lower than 10 HP without killing it, since that makes it potion until 420. That means that if Eevee would bring Chimchar lower than 10 HP, it would instead hit Tepig first by using its warrior ability, Top Speed. Now is a good time to talk about warrior abilities. Each warrior has its unique ability. The main character can make Eevee move 2 squares extra for 1 turn, which also applies if it celebrates. Oichi, which is Jigglypuff's warrior, has a warrior ability that heals off the whole team for 50, which is going to be useful later on in the run. This was a very good split, but could be about 20 seconds faster with a perfect fight and better meshing. This RNG for Ignis was very good. It is very unlikely to get a sub 930 Ignis split overall. After Ignis, it's time to recruit the third Pokémon, Darumaka. It is necessary to recruit it, and it turns out to be a stellar during the run, having great attack status and good coverage with fire typing. The game introduces the recruitment system in this battle. You can only recruit Pokémons defeated in 4 turns or less, or that are defeated by a super effective move regardless of turn count. When the warrior is a warlord, like the main character in Oichi, it can only be recruited by another warlord with the same restrictions. The goal for this fight is to finish it in 2 turns, which is done comfortably as shown. There is a possibility of getting Charmander here instead of Darumaka, which is a worse option compared to it due to Charizard's subpar attack when compared to Darmanitan. If Charmander had appeared here, months would have been advanced until Darumaka was present in the cave. Next, Greenleaf, the grass-themed castle, is invaded. Out of the two options to invade right now, Greenleaf is the obvious one. Fire type was just recruited, and here it is possible to recruit grass types to help with the water-themed Fountain Castle, which is next on the line. This fight introduces three new mechanics: the grassy spots that warp a Pokémon to the other side of the field, the invisible ground traps that lock a Pokémon for a turn, and the flag system. Greenleaf, alongside with Terrara and Viperia, are the castles in which the objective is to hold all three flags at the same time, which are activated through stepping on their cell. The fight starts by moving Eevee towards the top flag through the first tunnel. The middle flag is captured with Aramaka. Jigglypuff goes through the lower grass tunnel. Here is one of the major reset points of the run. If Pansage doesn't go through the stairs, changing his pathway with Snivy, it can't be recruited, and Snivy is an unreliable option due to the lack of a good warrior ability. The following turns consist of killing Pansage with Darumaka. Since Flame Wheel is super effective against it, the warrior can be recruited regardless of turn count. Jigglypuff is positioned in a way that blocks Pansage's passage, holding him still. At the last turn, Sewaddle is killed with Darumaka, then Jigglypuff gets the flag. Both Sewaddle and Pansage are recruited. Pansage is used in the next fight to face roll through the water types, and Sewaddle is good for tanking fighting types at Pojulis, the following castle. This was a very solid split, only losing a bit of time due to the previous run having a crit on Pansage, saving a turn. After Greenleaf, Fountain is invaded. The unique mechanic to this castle is the dam system, which allows non-water types to cross over the river. The fight is started by positioning allied Pokémon in a way that, in the following turn, Sewaddle closes the dam while Eevee and Pansage line up after the river. Jigglypuff and Darumaka aren't moved as they won't do anything in this fight. This positioning manipulates the AI into lining up Piplup and Oshawott, making Pansage hit them both with Vine Whip. Pansage's warrior ability is used to increase its attack on the next hit, severely crippling Piplup and Oshawott and facilitating Eevee's job to clear up. The following turns consist of clearing enemies with Eevee, Pansage, and Sewaddle. In this run, the fourth turn had all three remaining enemies lined up, which made Pansage exceptionally useful. Pansage needs to finish off Pampor, as it needs to be recruited and usually it is killed after the fourth turn. Pampor is not particularly useful, but its warrior is used to recruit Lapras later on. This fight went very well. Time saves here are only achieved with crucial critical hits. Our next battle is Pugilis, the Fighting Castle. Here, a new flag system exclusive to this castle is introduced. You got to hold all 4 flags for 5 consecutive turns to win. The flags are situated in a ring with another unique mechanic. If the attacks are lined up on enemies on the edge of the ring, they are knocked off, making them waste 3 to 4 turns to get back on the ring. clever usage of that mechanic and some AI manipulation, this fight is finished without the need to kill any enemy. The initial turns are spent advancing the teams toward the ring. Eevee gets the southwest flag, while Pampor gets the southeast flag in the following turn. From here, 2 turns are spent knocking enemies out of the ring. Sewaddle is positioned in the enemy entrance to the ring. Sewaddle is then used as a tank because of its resistance to fighting, its exceptional defense stat, and the warrior ability to increase its defenses for 3 turns. Jigglypuff is positioned right behind Sewaddle to prevent knockbacks from the enemy's attacks, while also giving a chance to put enemies to sleep. During the 5 waiting turns, Oichi's warrior ability is used to heal Sewaddle. This fight went according to plan, but due to some unlucky extra animations, a couple seconds were lost. After Pugilis, the ability to use passwords is introduced. Passwords in this game make the next month have a swarm of a certain Pokémon in a random owned castle. They were distributed in official events during the first year of release of this game. The consensus on the speedrunning community for this game is that they are allowed, as they are advertised as a feature by the developers and some are the only way to obtain certain Pokémon. The Lapras password is the choice for this run, as Lapras has an amazing 3 squares range with Ice Beam, making it very good against certain map hazards. The Ice typing also helps out in the Violight, Cresselia, Cragspur, Evia, Yaksha and Dragnor castles. The swarm can contain from 1 to 4 Lapras, and the route recruits only 2, with Nobuchica, Pampor's Warrior and Moichi. If only 1 Lapras is present, it is a reset. If 3 or 4 are present, they are recruited, but not used, by the main character and by Sewaddle's Warrior. The perfect scenario is getting 2 Lapras, which happens in this run. Getting the swarm at Aurora Castle is also the best scenario, as it has 2 arenas, giving the player 2 shots at getting the best Lapras scenario with only 2 Lapras present. During the fight, the linking mechanic is introduced. It is possible to link each Lapras in one turn with some luck, which happened with the second Lapras. The more affinity the warrior has with the Pokémon, the slower the energy balls move during the linking minigame. Violight is the following castle, consisting mostly of electric types. The electric terrain in this castle can only be treaded by electric types. Buttons at the corners are activated by the AI at the first turn when there is more than 1 allied Pokémon in any of the 4 squares with metal plates in the map. What this does is damage all Pokémons in the square diagonally opposite to that in which the button was activated. In this fight, the strategy is to wait 2 turns after position setup both Lapras, Eevee and Pansage. The usual strategy after that is to hit Pichu with Pansage, then celebrate from Pichu to Shinx with Eevee. Oichi's Lapras must kill Starly to recruit it, and both Lapras are used to wear down Shinx and Marie. Pansage should hit Pampor with its warrior ability from the side, finishing it off with Sewaddle. Ideally, it only takes 4 turns, but this fight strayed a little away from the plan. Starly didn't approach until the 4th turn, and when it did, it blocked Pansage's access to Pampor. Having no way to kill Starly with Oichi's Lapras without killing Pansage, the only option was to take an extra, small turn, wasting from 20 to 30 seconds. Due to the strangeness of the situation, the execution was suboptimal, further losing a couple seconds. After the fight is over, Starly is recruited and Sewaddle is dismissed. Starly has an amazing 4-cell range and can fly over obstacles, making it a good ally in the following 3 fights. The following fight, Chrysalia, is one of the most RNG intensive fights of the run. The castle has multiple balls that randomly spawn each turn that, when attacked, will travel in a straight line damaging any Pokémons in the way. The map also has randomly placed invisible traps that lock the Pokémon down for 2 turns. The general strategy is to position Starly and Eevee in the middle, both of them acting as pivots to either finish off weakened targets or to throw balls at the enemies. Boich's Lapras is used to kill both enemies at the west side of the board. At the opposing side, Pensage should hit Sphere with its warrior ability, and Darumaka should kill the remaining enemies. The split lost about 30 seconds to the past run, which had an almost TAS-like Rosalia. It still was a solid split, as no key Pokémon were locked in place by invisible traps, and the fight was still finished in the predicted amount of turns. This fight does not have an AI manipulation setup after the first turn, since it all depends on the balls and the trap's positioning, which are completely random. No useful warriors can be recruited in this fight. all the warriors march toward Pugilis to invade Terrara. The warlord of Terrara doesn't recognize the main character as an worthwhile opponent, refusing the challenge. Then, the Pugilis castle is invaded by Terrara's troops. Terrara is the preferred fight compared to Illusio, since no enemy must be defeated to get to the flags. Pugilis is also the preferred defensive castle since no enemy must be defeated and the strategy is very consistent. Chrysalia's stage is way too RNG intense for yet another fight in it. The strategy in this fight is similar to the original Pugilis fight, with certain exceptions. Eevee doesn't get the southwest flag right away, as there is already an opportunity to knock off an opponent on the northwest flag. Lapras will do the tanking in this fight, as it has a very high HP compared to the rest of the allied Pokémon. Starly knocks off the Pokémons occupying the northeast flag, as it can reach it in 2 turns from its initial position. After the invasion of Pugilis, a cutscene plays in which the main character evolves, upgrading Eve's warrior ability to Courage, which has the effects of top speed with the addition of increasing Eve's attacks for that turn. The next battle is the Terrara Castle, home of the ground types. This fight introduces the elevators mechanic. When stepping into one of the 3 squared platforms, the Pokémon is transferred to the top of the tower, where it can access one of the 3 flags. After the second turn is over, wind blows off any Pokémon on the top of the towers, dealing some ground damage upon falling to the ground. After that initial scripted gust, wind blows randomly every 2 or 3 turns. The positioning in this fight ensures that, right after the initial gust blows the enemies off the towers, all 3 elevators can be occupied by allies. In this fight, Drillbur should be recruited, reason why both Lapras need to be close to the middle of the map, giving them reach to kill Drillbur with the super effective Ice Beam. Drillbur had an unlikely positioning in this run, restricting the second Lapras access to it, but luckily it didn't dig a Lapras, which would have wasted a turn and potentially killed the run if the wind blew on the next turn. Both Terrara's Warlord and Drillbur are recruited, with the Warlord being sent to Pugilis, where it will serve to buy and sell goods on the following 2 months of the game. Drillbur is recruited by ditching out Starly, which won't be useful anymore. Gallade, the Warlord of Illusio's Pokémon, is marched towards Terrara to replace Pansage. following month, the first shopping trip happens at Ignis, buying 5 power wristbands. Power wristbands increase a Pokémon's attack status greatly, but have a moderately high chance of breaking upon attacking in a battle. They are key items used to the rest of the run to enhance allied damage output. The 5 power wristbands are equipped on the whole team except their mecha, which won't be used in the following fight. The next fight is Cragspur, the rock-type castle and one of the hardest fights in the game. The fight introduces the unique mechanics of the rolling boulders that deal rock damage, and opening the arena in which the allied Pokémon are located through a button. The fight starts by opening the arena with Eevee, hiding off her mecha and advancing with Lapras and Gallade. Eevee then starts wearing Panzer off after using Courage. Oich's Lapras heals the initial boulder damage off and starts hitting Larvitar. Gallade knocks out Machop. Drillbur and Lapras are positioned in a way to lure Onix and Roggenrola. The rest of the fight consists of Drillbur and Lapras finishing off close enemies and Eevee, Lapras and Gallade denting on Boulder. In this run, Gallade did exceptionally well against Boulder, which had a low energy meter and thus a low HP. This fight was extremely good and saved a turn over the expected perfect strats according to the rounds. After Cragspur, all 3 elemental stones are received. Thunderstone is used to evolve Eevee into Jolteon, and the remaining are sold to buy 20 more power wristbands and 10 Poneglyph. The Poneglyph are used in both Darumaka and Drillbur to increase their energy meters and facilitate their evolution, which is done by achieving certain attack values, and having high energy helps with that. The power wristbands are equipped on the rest of the team, and so many are needed because of high breaking chance. The next battle is Viperia, the Poison Castle, the last triple flag fight in the run. Viperia introduces a different type of tunnel system, which pops the traveling Pokémon out in a cell around the tunnel and not directly on top of it. The fight starts by positioning Darumaka as a bait in the west tunnel, while pushing towards the first flag with Eevee, Lapras, Gallade, and Drillbur. After Eevee gets the first flag, it travels through a tunnel to reach the westmost flag, while Drillbur secures the first flag and Lapras and Gallade advance towards the middle flag. The general strategy is to get the west flag with Eevee, kill whatever is on the middle flag with Gallade, and get the middle flag with Eevee after using Courage. In this run, this was not possible because of Spiritomb blocking Eevee's way, which is the reason Lapras is used as a backup strategy to get the middle flag. The execution on this split was very iffy as I was already getting nervous from being so far ahead, which lost me a couple seconds. After the fight, Eevee evolves into Jolteon, and power wristbands and Poneglyph are re-equipped. The next fight is Avia, the flying type castle. This fight introduces the trampoline mechanic for non-flying types to reach the various platforms in this castle. It is entirely skipped as all the enemies are lured out by precise AI manipulation with Jotun and Lapras positioning. For the first 2 turns, Jotun and both Lapras advance and block in the west direction, then the movement is decided by how the AI positioning collapsed. This run, the rare scenario in which Braviary doesn't use Fly in a Lapras did not happen, but even then, a turn was not wasted since neither Lapras had their power wristbands broken. The fight consists of Jotun killing most Pokémon, with the help of Lapras in Starly and Staravia. The finishing turns consist of Lapras killing off Carnivine. This fight went really well and, without major critical hit luck, no turns could be shaved off of this fight in the current route. After re-equipping the power wristbands, it's time to invade Yaksha, the Dark-type castle. This fight introduces the mechanic of the randomly warping boxes. A random Pokémon is selected every 2 turns and is warped either to a random place in the map or to the gift room filled with items. In this fight, the objective is to last hit at least 2 enemies with Darumaka to reach enough attack to getting more Link to evolve it. Good targets for this are Zoroark and Scraggy, both of which are weakened by other Pokémons and Darumaka itself. Lapras is supposed to kill Krokorok, and Drillbur is supposed to kill Pawniard. Then, whichever Pokémon is closer to it should defeat Scrafty. In this fight, the only unusual thing that happened was Pawniard getting teleported, which didn't waste any turns due to Darumaka killing it in one hit too. The fight lost a little bit of time compared to the best split because it was done in a route that didn't include the need for Darumaka to last hit 2 opponents. After this fight, Darumaka evolves into Darmanitan and Drillbur into Excadrill. In this run, they were at the right amount of energy for the evolution to happen. If this wasn't the case, some months would need to be wasted attending to the Pedigree shop in Yaksha to increase their energy to evolve, as their evolution is crucial for the next fight. After equipping all allies with power wristbands, it's time to invade Spectra. Spectra is one of the stages with the most potential to waste time, since every turn includes the animation of its both unique map hazards. The Misdreavus statues, which dynamically change which cells are available to traverse, and the statue's flames, which randomly move around and afflict a random status condition to any Pokémon in its range. The fight starts off by moving Jolteon, Lapras, and Gallade in block north, and the rest of the Pokémon in block south. Jolteon should use Thunderbolt, boosted by Porridge to hit Misdreavus and Dusclops, which didn't happen in this run due to being much more convenient to hit Misdreavus and Drifloon. Gallade and Lapras should finish off the remaining Pokémon at the north section. At the south section, Darmanitan and Lapras should weaken Mismagius and Lampent, while Darmanitan kills Scolipede and Excadrill finishes off Lampent. In later turns, Jolteon or Gallade should move south and help finish off whichever is left over. This fight should have finished off a turn earlier than what I did, but I did a major mistake by not backing off a cell north with Lapras before hitting Mismagius, which blocked Jolteon's ability to reach it. Although this wasted about 30 seconds, the fight was still solid and in the upper turn limit of acceptance for the current route. After Spectra fight, a month is advanced, and all of the warriors without maxed energy attend to the Poneglyph level 2 shop, which increases all the remaining warriors' energy to the maximum, which greatly helps with the final 4 fights. After re-equipping broken power wristbands, Nixstorm, the ice castle, is invaded. Nixstorm introduces ice platforms which move each turn a Pokémon is occupying them, and there are no Pokémon in the water blocking the way. It also contains ice spikes and ice blocks that block the path. There are 2 sets of ice spikes, each with very different strategies. Another mechanic is the snow and ice terrain. The snow terrain reduces every non-ice and flying type Pokémon's range by 1, and ice terrain is slippery and will make non-ice Pokémon slide till it finds the end of the ice path or blocking point. In the obstacle set the run got, Jolteon advances towards the spike and hits Cubchoo after a turn. Either Nobuchika's Lapras or both Lapras finishes it off, making the path to the ice platform free. Meanwhile, Gallade hits Busto, increasing its range by 1 and clearing Darmanitan's path by destroying a tree. In the following turn, Darmanitan follows through the ice platform, preferably hitting Beartic if it's nearby, which didn't happen in the run unfortunately. Excadrill is to slowly move towards the remaining ice platform, repositioning itself to better hit foes like Musharna and Munna. If everything goes according to plan, Darmanitan, Gallade and Excadrill kill Munna and Musharna without getting a sleep, while Darmanitan one-shots Beartic and Eevee finishes off Lapras and Sealeo. Both Lapras either help with Munna and Musharna or serve as stepping stones for Jolteon in the ice. This doesn't happen in the run, with some funky movement and experimental AI manipulation with Jolteon in the third turn. Luckily, Munna and Musharna behaved and the fight was still finished in the intended amount of turns. After re-equipping Broken Power wristbands, Valora, the Steel-type castle, is invaded. Valora introduces the rotating gears, which rotate 3 squares anti-clockwise and change the obstacles in the map when a Pokémon finishes its steps on top of it. Another mechanic not used in the run is the roaming robots. If any Pokémon is within 2 cells of range of its eyes, it teleports the Pokémon to a random spot on the map. The fight starts by setting up the positioning for the whole team. In the following turn, Jolteon hits Chimecho while activating the wheel. Lapras follows suit, activating the wheel in a way that positions it close to Gallade, so that it can benefit from Bustle on the next turn. Doing 2 gear movements ensure that the path is close to both Arons, which then move north towards the rest of the team as intended instead of chasing Lapras and Gallade and Jolteon. Darmanitan hits Metagross with Fire Blast. Generally, this takes 2 turns to kill, but Metagross' energy was very low, enabling a 1-turn kill. This made the rest of the battle save 1 turn on optimal routed strats, since Darmanitan was able to early hit both Arons and Aggron. The turn save was also enabled by crucial Lapras crits on Quagsire. If the route was followed, Excadrill would slowly kill Arons one by one, while Lapras and Gallade wore Quagsire off from behind. This fight was about a minute faster than optimal routing strats. It was very lucky. Once again, our wristbands are re-equipped to fight Dragnor, the Dragon-type castle. Dragnor introduces the Shrines mechanics. Each shrine is assigned a type for each turn, dealing damage and potentially a status condition associated with that type to any Pokémon that finishes its actions in adjacent squares. It is also possible that no type is assigned to a shrine, in which case it heals nearby Pokémon by a bit. This fight starts off by moving allied Pokémon towards the enemies in block, since they don't start moving until the second turn. Final positions after the second turn for this fight are mapped out with specific AI manipulations for each possible position. This fight, I got a completely new AI pattern that I haven't seen in over 100 Dragnor battles I did while routing. This is the reasoning for the couple seconds I spent not acting in the third turn, as I was trying to find on the fly the best course of action for that new AI position. The general idea is to kill Fracture and Dino in the third turn with Lapras, while advancing the position of the allies in block and making Excadrill the lead by blocking any possible access Zekrom has over both Lapras. Then, Darmanitan kills Simisage, and if a Lapras is available, it kills Gabite or Dragnor. Excadrill, and both one or two Lapras hit Zekrom, while Jolteon and Gallade deal residual damage. In the following turn, both Lapras clear out the remaining enemies. An important note is that Dragonor must be killed in one turn, otherwise it will heal for 100. This fight went very well, with only the substantial time loss being due to my poor execution when faced with a scenario I had not predicted in routing. For the last time, power wristbands are re-equipped to prepare for the last fight. Entering Infinite Tower, the main character is prompted to recruit Arceus, which can be done in one turn depending on the initial Jolteon positioning and luck with the linking minigame, both of which did not happen in the run. Recruiting Arceus in 3 turns wasted about 20 to 30 seconds. Arceus' ability, Omnipotent, is going to be relevant in the next fight. It allows it to bypass accuracy checks, heal every turn, heal status changes and sometimes dodge attacks. The last fight consists of fighting all of Nobunaga's allied warlords. It starts off by advancing with 1 Lapras and Arceus, and then positioning the remaining Pokémon in block around Gallade to receive the Bustle bonus. Lapras then hits Rayquaza, while Arceus finishes it off while hitting the enemy Lapras with Courage. In the following turns, Arceus weakens off whatever it can, prioritizing hitting the enemy Lapras, while Gallade advances towards Infernape, Excadrill towards Agron, and Darmanitan towards Lucario. Both Lapras deal cheap damage to Mismagius and other threats close to death. At the 3rd turn, Excadrill generally uses its Warrior ability to increase its defenses and prevent a one-shot by Infernape. This was not needed in this run as Infernape was frozen by that turn. As Lucario's positioning was suboptimal and the enemy Lapras tanked a lot, this fight took an extra turn compared to optimal. This, coupled with Arceus' recruitment, costed a bunch of time in the last split of the run. The timer stops right after the last cutscene skip and last required input to return the game to the title screen. I would like to take this credits time to give special thanks to DolTM and PR Shiori, the two other runners of this game which helped me a lot to make the route. Without them, this video would definitely not be possible. I would also like to thank all of the speedrunning community around Pokémon, and all of the big names that inspired me to start and continue speedrunning, such as Worcester, Kizaron, Gunner, Axarion, Tyrant, Crafted, Underscore, CP1414, Idacat, Shenanigans, Keyarts, and many others. I would also like to thank you for watching this video and having interest in this not so famous speed game. Thank you everyone.